Welcome back to Forum Friday with yours truly, HRT Rich over there on X or Twitter. And of course, to my right on the screen, but to my left in the digital world is 22-1 Tom. Tom, how you doing today?
I'm doing.
Did you recover from all the bumps and bruises of the Kentucky Derby week?
Well, I wish I'd hit that pick 6, that Derby 6.
You know, as we all wish. We were
81,000.
Yeah, that's kind of cheap though, because a lot of them were like in the $250,000 range. So, yeah, I don't know that last race. What do you think? Do you think Sierra Leone and Forever Young run by Mystic Dan if they're not busy just grinding off of each other for a 16th of a mile?
Mystic Dan got the jump.
You don't think that the cost
he was
of
better?
length?
He was better positioned. No, I don't see it. I mean, the Preakness will be interesting, but you know, Forever Young, I think, ran his race. And you know, the way they work in Japan, they let the stewards decide, not the jockey. Make object. It's very rare for a jockey in Japan to make an objection. So they left it in the hands of the stewards.
Did you get a chance to read Aubrey Green's take on all that?
No, I did not.
You know, over on horseracingtoday.net, jockey Aubrey Green, we talk about this earlier in the week. She gives you a jockey's perspective about what happened down the stretch between Sierra Leone and Forever Young. And while you're there, click on that HRT gear button right there. You can help out the store and help out the show. You can look fantastic. I don't know if a hoodie right now is the right thing, but maybe in the evenings in some of the northern parts of the country where it's still cool at night, but you'll look fantastic sporting Horse Racing Today gear. And of course, you'll help us out. Another way to help us out is to hit the like button, subscribe button, follow us, share our content with your friends and family. Of course, if you're going to bet some free races today, I think we're going to do tonight. The free track today is Hollywood Casino at Charlestown. So head on over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There is a link in the description below. Kindly use that one. Tap it so folks know where it is you're coming from. Well, we know where they're coming from if they go over there, Tom. But where are we going today?
We're going to Ascot.
And in 5 weeks, I think right on June 18th. Is that when the Ascot kicks off? 6 weeks?
Yeah.
For the Royal Ascot. But we're not quite there yet.
Meeting. Well, in the importance of these races is this week at Chester for the May Festival. And today, of course, Ascot ran. These are races that you have to look at in terms of who may be moving on to Royal Ascot. And as we all know, big fields and some very interesting racing.
Well, some big fields here. And that last race we're going to do, because we're going to do race 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. And at the end, Tom's got a couple bonus picks for you. A Paris Longchamp. I think that's how you say it. Over there in France, some ideas for some couple of Group 1 races over there as well.
Yeah, and those are the start of the classic season in France. So those two would be equivalent to the guineas that are run in England and also Ireland.
What about Australia?
They run guineas in there too. So same deal. But unlike our classics, they start at 1 mile. And being that is kind of the benchmark for a lot of sires and a lot of horses and that mile distance. And so that's I kind of like that, but of course, English mile at Ascot is a little different than at Perry Longchamp than it is in the States.
Well, the first race, Tom. Well, before we get there, it's important to point out that the footing right now is considered good to soft. Are they expecting more rain there?
Yeah, it's going more to good to firm.
Good to firm.
Yeah, the round course today was a little. They said it was a little soft, but it was drying out. I think we're going to be good to firm on the straight. The round course will still be a question.
All right. So the first race we're going to deal with here is 1 mile and 4 furlongs. So in English, that would be 1.5 miles an hour. Well, they speak English over there too. If I forgot to put this up here, so we're going to put it up here now. So we go 1 mile and 4 furlongs. We're going to start here. I'm going to run up around this Swinley bottom, make that turn,
and then go up and around, and a typical English course.
Yes, they're going to start downhill, then they're going to level out, then they're going to steadily rise, and they're going to go uphill some more, and then they're going to go downhill. So there's plenty of undulation in this track, Thomas, plenty of kind of awkward turns. Is there a strategic place to be on the track for this sort of race?
I prefer the inside, but ironically, I did pick an outside horse for this race. Today on the round course, there's only one race run on the round course and one run on the half turn. And they were generally the closers were doing okay, but it was more more forwardly placed horses. So I think position is the key here.
So you think about that good to firm footing is aiding the speed a little bit.
Yeah, it should aid the speed horses in here. So anybody who's got a little bit of a kick who can do a measured the jockey can do a measured ride may have a better opportunity.
Well, they're going to go off a mile in the Peroni Nastro Azzurro 0% handicap. Hopefully we get more than 0% in terms of our winners. And we cannot forget, Thomas, about the trusty predictor at the end. But before we get to the predictor, let's get to 22-1 Tom's thoughts for the 0% handicap.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start out with number 8, Great Bedouin, with draw 11. I mean, draw 13. I'm sorry, draw 13. Won his last start before the layoff, and was really in the back of the field to win that race. It was a Class 4 race, first time at 12 furlongs. The reason I like the horse is because the trainer has a good record first up, and at this level, I think this is a Class 3 race. I think it fits the horse to start. And I also like, I don't like the draw, but I think that can be strategically positioned to have a good run. 6, Masso Basti or Bastai. With draw 9 is my next choice. He placed first up last year and then won his next start. He's run again first. He did okay. The interesting thing is with this horse, he only got 2 starts on the turf, and he won one of them. He really hasn't run a bad race, and I really think that switching to the turf here is to his advantage, and the distance is right. Finally, I'll take a little bit of a long shot in Apier, drawing an 8. He's hasn't run well in his last 2 races. One was at Epsom, and then he equally effort on the all-weather. They gave him some time off. They're going to use an apprentice on this horse, and the odds are long, but we're not playing for first, and I think he's got a chance to place.
Whenever Tom gives you an horse, you better pay attention to those because they win. It's his handicapping angle, the handicapping angle. Yeah. Well, one horse we agree on in this whole mix, surprisingly, is Masso Basti. We'll go with that. It's making its first start off the bench, going to drop in class, and has also come off the bench to win in the past. And I feel like I don't like the fact that the bettors are moving away from this one over here. Started at 14-1, 16-1, but I do feel like the horse has shown some ability coming off of some rest. And a lot of these horses are really making their first start of the year, so form is going to be a little bit of a question mark. Number 5, Palace Boy is my second choice in here. So you kind of look through the past performances, and the horse is another one that's taking a step down in class. And when it's run at this level, it's been a good fit. It's performed pretty well, but unfortunately, its odds are also going in the wrong direction. Or fortunately, I guess, if they win, right? Number 4.
That's the ideal.
Yeah, that's the idea. I shouldn't really complain about that, because when we do our handicapping here in the United States, and I have a lot more data available, so it's not as old-fashioned in terms of your just pen to paper and intuition and just looking for some form of form improvement. Here, whenever you find some kind of anomaly in the math, you're not the only one to find it. All those people running those computer programs find it too. And that 8-1 suddenly is 7-5, and you're like, damn. So I like it better when it goes from 4-1 to 8-1, and then you get it because the computers missed it. A little bit of the qualitative versus the quantitative approach. And then the final pick for me, Thomas, in this race is the 9-horse, King of the Pouliches. Lucky 7-1 morning line odds. Those odds haven't changed whatsoever at all. And 4 of its 6 starts so far, I think if you look at the results, I believe would be good enough to beat this group more often than not. So 6, 5, 4, and 9 for me in the 0% handicap. And before we move on to the 0.1% handicap, let's make sure we remember to see what the predictor has to say. See if Tom and I have any horses that the Racing Post algorithm likes. Pow. Think First. Well, we don't have that one. Qatari, I don't remember that name. Well, the only one I think we have on here is Way of Life, right? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Not mine.
Well, you box those up. It looks like you're going to get a nice trifecta too. So maybe you might take the third choice, the just straight up computer picks instead of the Tom and Rich thoughts.
Well, I this is the kind of race that you can figure it out. It should pay well.
Yeah, I think a lot of these races over there, Race Masters pointing out that I've been watching your shows this week. Ascot Racecourse is a tough nut to crack. You don't think it's possible to handicap unless Tom and you have an angle. So yeah, make sure you have that pencil sharpened up and that notebook out, Race Masters. And if you have some ideas for Ascot or any other track anywhere on the planet where you think or know or feel confident that you have a winner or at least a solid handicapping angle that's working for you that maybe is not widely discussed, share it with us in the comment section. Any comment or interactivity helps us with the technology algorithms. The more you interact, the higher we go in the search rankings. The higher we go in the search rankings, the more people who make it to our show. It's an easy way to help support what we do here. All right, we didn't forget the predictor, Tom. Next up is race number 2. So far, surprisingly, I'm keeping us on schedule. Hard to believe. This is the traditional mile that you spoke about at the top of the show. And this one's still a 0%. Peroni, Nastro, Azzurro, 0% British. EBF Fillies handicap. It's a grade 2. They're going to go 1 mile.
No, it's class 2. Class 2, not a class 2. It's not a group or grader race.
So, class 2, I said class, whatever. Class 2, yes, right there. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I got to screw up at some point. It's part of the show.
Well, it's interesting. The graded races are for the ones that go over the hurdles, and the group races are the flats.
So is this 1 miler? Let's look and see. Is this the straight one?
It's the straight. It should be the straight mile.
Yeah, straight. Over here, it's identified as just straight away. So unlike
the gate will be set in the center.
So did you see anything today in terms of where horses wanted to be on the track as they
again,
a mile?
Gate positions were different. Most of for the straight course runs, they were set to the center of the course. And for the most part, they were staying in the center of the course. For the longer races, of course, they start on that rail and go around. So it's a little bit harder to judge those in terms of bias. But today, I would say if there was a bias, I didn't see it.
All right, so no bias from a post position. Interesting, here in the United States, we differentiate between 1 and 2 turn miles. Over there are no turns. So just get after it, baby. All right, so in race number 2, Tom, time for you to get after it and get going with who you think is going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to start with number 6, Strong Impact, with draw 1. First start of the season, he showed pace and then retreated, and he finished 4th. This is a step up, but I'm looking at the last race's foundation. Part of it is he is cutting back in distance, which I think will help him run better here. And I also like his turf record of 4 starts. He has a win in 3 seconds.
So shouldn't he be in second then?
No, I'm going to put him on top. Because of that
second W.
And the reason is because of having that race. Number 1, Mystic Pearl, which draw 7 is my next choice. He returned from Dubai, and he's after running some less than average races there, and then they put him on the all weather and got sixth. But he was racing in the back of the field. He had some trouble there. He had to be steadied, and he did switch positions, going more to the right. So he did have a little bit of trouble. He's done better at this distance, and I think on the straight course on the turf is going to help him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I'm going to take number 10, Flying Finn, with draw 8. This is what I would call the inform horse, but he's been doing it at lower level. He's been winning at class 5s. So, and that's been on 6 furlongs. So the distance, is it too aggressive? Possibly, but you got an inform horse, so why wouldn't you try?
That makes sense, right?
And this would make sense based on the field that's here.
And it looks like the morning line odds are there too. So the what do they call them over there? I know the bettors are punters. We call them handicappers. Are there handicappers in England too, or do they have a different name?
No, I would say that's fairly accurate. It depends on the punter is the player as much as anything. But they're certainly taking different views, and they look at our racing as well as they look at their own. There's a couple specifics who will point out, you get a speed rating number, blah, blah, blah. In our here where we don't get those in England, they give a handicapper rating, which would follow more to what you're saying. So, depending on whether you win a race, you get weight, and you may get your higher number. Obviously, if you're rated at 80 and then you win, you may get bounced up to 85 or 86.
So they move you around accordingly to your performance.
Well, that also puts you into what kind of races you can run in.
Mm-hmm. And we do that through the condition books, right? So we try to, and then we leave that up.
We also, there's auction races in Europe, and there's claimers in France, but there's really no claiming race in Britain at all.
Well, if I were going to claim one, I might claim Topanga, because that's going to claim that one as my top selection in this race. That all my horses are going in the wrong direction. So I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but hopefully they go in the right direction during the race. But this one's going to come down from a Group 3 effort last time out. And I feel like its resume says that you'll see a better performance versus lighter company. And in the second start after a layoff, as you mentioned, as I did too before earlier, that a lot of these horses are starting the new year. So somebody that's got something under their belt might have an edge. Strong Impact, the 6 horse. So far, 2 races. We've agreed on 1 horse in each race, it looks like. On the turf, I noticed that record too, a win and 3 seconds. So I said, you know what? This horse wants to finish second. Probably looked like it'll have a chance to win at the end and just hang. And both times that this horse made a second start off the layoff, it was a better trip than the first one. I don't know really if I want to try to pronounce this one, but we'll go with Zuzana. That sounds about right, I think, right?
I'll go with it.
Yes, indeed. This one actually has a win at Ascot, as our friend Race Masters pointed out. You need an angle there, and sometimes a horse for the course at an odd course really can be beneficial. And I know you mentioned, Tom, that speed probably, or front foot, is probably a little bit better place to be when the track is good to firm. I think this one will be closing at the end, and maybe this is a horse or another form of a Tom horse. Will it win? Maybe not, but in the money. And then finally, if you're Catholic and you don't bet on this one, you're going to be in a lot of trouble at the end of days. Mother Mary. This one's been on the board 4 times and 4 on grass. And last time out, Mother Mary had some issues. I think cleans them up today and should make for a better trip around the track. And this is the only one so far of the picks that I've made where the odds are actually going in my favor.
That's scary, right?
Any books on how to read a condition book? That's something I've asked trainers and stuff about when we used to do our horse center shows. And when we used to do our podcast, I can't remember the name of the podcast off the top of my head. Tom, can you remember the name or not? It's on
the Thursday, sometimes disaster raisin picking. I don't remember.
Yeah. God, I can't remember the name of it either. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so be it. But we asked a lot of trainers about that. And basically what they told us is that every track's condition books are a little bit different.
Yep.
So you have to actually just go to the track and get the book and read it. And the more you read it, the more you understand what it's telling you. And as the more we do our handicapping shows, it becomes a little bit clearer and clearer. The difficulty is on your end as an owner or trainer, trying to decipher that to figure out where your horses fit in.
Well, and what condition they'll be in at that time. So the only thing I would suggest is if you do use a tracker to follow horses, and at specific, if you pull the condition book down and take a look at them, because you'll get the races they want to run, and then they'll have alternate races. If you do have a tracker, using a tracker and have horses you're following, take a look that's when you look in the condition book, because 3 weeks out, whatever, that horse may pop up in the right type of race, and that can be helpful in getting some nice payoffs.
Yeah, and you see that too a lot of times too at tracks where a horse will run in a race and then actually it'll win, perform very well, and the next race is a drop in class, and you could misread that as, why is this horse dropping in class? Did he get dinged up? Did he get hurt? When in reality, as you mentioned, a condition opened up for that horse that it might not have otherwise qualified for because of time going by. And this is actually just a chance to pick up another check and maybe get a good price. Let's see if either one of us, according to the predictor, are going to pick up a check at any kind of a price. I almost forgot about it in round 2, Thomas, but I shan't. Boom. Rose Prick. All right. Well, I think that the name's appropriate for the predictor to give us 2 races in a row where our pick is not in the winner's circle. Mystic Pearl, Mother Mary in there, Flying Finn. How many we have in here? Just Mother Mary? Did you have Mystic Pearl?
I have Flying Finn and Mystic Pearl. All
right. So we're getting a little bit better. We're closing in on the predictor. Hopefully in the next race, actually, we can get somewhat in line with the predictor. The next race is race number 3 on the card. Again, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7 on the Ascot card tomorrow. A third distance today, 7 furlongs is the next stop at the track. So they're breaking out all the distances. They're going to just 1/8 of a mile less than what we'll see in race number 2. I'd imagine, Tom, much like 1 mile, you're going to see them, if today is a precursor to tomorrow, try to stick to the middle of the track and see who's the fastest in 7 furlongs.
No, I don't think so in this race because we got a huge field.
So they're going to break up into the Red Sea.
You got a full gate. You could see maybe 2 groups and maybe even a third group.
Yeah, I like those kind of races. They're kind of interesting to see. So you did mention it's a full field. So let's see how many horses are in this full field. Ooh, 23 races, 23 horses. Not bad. Good Karma apparently didn't have any of that because that one's going to be out of the race. Hopefully it's not in my picks. I don't remember it ringing a bell. So you got a lot to pick from here, Tom. So I know you only picked 3 because you're a man of integrity. I'm not. I picked 4. So
well, I probably in the bigger fields I probably could go to 4, but I didn't. I went with number 4, Street of Gold, is my top choice, and it does have the draw of 23, so it'll be on the way outside. In the last race, it raced towards the rear. It was really never a factor, but it was his first race of the season. He's raced well at this distance and in these handicap types, these heritage handicap type races. But he's only, it's interesting. He's only has 1 win at this distance. So he's tried it more than a few times and mixed results. I think he faced better horses last time out. And so I think they're going to adjust it accordingly to put him in the here, and that's what he could be in. Could the draw be a factor? Possibly. But they were going okay on that far side today. So I'm going to think that maybe it's not, and he may have a nice chance in this race. Next one will be number 18, Hickory, with draw 6. Off the joint, favorite last time out on the all-weather and ran second. It was a class 3, and it was also at this distance. His final race of the season wasn't much. He was at Ascot. but overall, he's done pretty well at Ascot. Generally good, pretty well this distance too. So I think I'm going to put him in because I think he'll make a good account of himself, and he looks like he'll be able to at least be very competitive with this bunch. Finally, I'm going to take what I think will be the favorite, but I'm not sure. But a favorite in here may be 6-1. So let's keep that in mind. And that's Popmaster with draw 17. His first start was in a Class 1 at Newmarket at 6 furlongs. He was on the pace and didn't finish. He finished 6th. He's done well at 7, but he also is good at placing at 7. So he's done it 7 times. He's had up to 29 runs in his career on the turf, that is specifically. The biggest move here was by the trainer, and that is to use an apprentice to get the weight off, because otherwise he would have been really he's already penalized for being a better horse. But they're going to try, and maybe that getting that weight off will get that extra half a length that he can win.
Yeah, it could be a big difference, a half a length in a 23 horse field, or however many horses are running in here. I'm going to start with the luckiest number of all, number 13, Arabian Storm. Well, this guy's odds have been all over the place. No, well, he's 25-1 now. Man, it looks like I'm really off today. We opened up at 16-1, went as high as 25-1. Now he's 14-1. So it looks like a lot of late money. People anticipating the show coming into the into the money pool. Well, Arabian Storm, if you look at its races, it's got 2 of them so far on turf. The rest are on the all-weather track. But on the 2 races on turf, missed by a neck, missed by 3/4 of a length from winning both of them. They were both 7 furlongs. So maybe this is a mile horse, the traditional one, or maybe it's a 6-furlong horse. But it hasn't missed by much in the 2 that it ran at 7 furlongs. I think today has a shot to make up that little bit of a difference. And this might be its preferred surface. You mentioned Popmaster. We agree on that one, Tom. I feel like this is a horse of all the horses here in this big, deep field. It's the one with the most Ascot experience. And it's hit the board in 7 out of 10, a couple of wins, a handful of seconds. Also performed pretty well. It's the goofball 7 furlong distance, 9 times out, a win, 4 seconds in there. And as you mentioned, probably the best horse, and also coming down from a Group 3. So going to face some lighter company here. Number 17, Pearl d'Oro. So the Pearls of Gold. This one, 8-1. Got a couple of them finally going in my favor. Again, some experience on the Ascot course. 3 times out, he's put a win, a place, and a show on the ticket there. And aside from his last race, the 7 furlong tweener distance looks like it is the preferred distance for Pearls of Gold, Pearl d'Oro. And then if we go from Pearls to Gold, we might as well go to Streets of Gold, right? Keeping in the jewelry theme here. This one here, Thomas, is also a class dropper from the Group 3 level. And as you mentioned earlier in the show, some of these horses have a race under their belt. So the second up could give them advantage off of the rusty ones coming out of the barn for the first time. I hope that's the case for Streets of Gold tomorrow on the Ascot card Saturday, early first thing in the morning. So when you get up, you can have your tea, your crumpets, and you can have some horse racing.
Predictor.
Yes, indeed. This one looks like it's going to be a tight race. Bam! Popmaster getting the nose over Wobe. Well, I didn't put that one in there just because I didn't want to say that more than once. Outside of that, we don't have anything else, huh?
Nope.
We don't have Rosalind, Hickory. That's easy enough to say.
Oh, I've got Hickory.
You have Hickory? All right. So you got 2 of them.
I got 2.
Tom keeping an eye on the predictor as he makes his predictions today. 2 more to go at Ascot, and then Tom will have some bonus picks in France.
No, you should do you got to do race number 4 with the predictor at least.
All right. So let's go to race number 4's predictor.
But, this is your kind of race.
So the first
couple horses that have run, 2 horses I think were run. Everybody else is brand new.
So they're probably just going to have 2 horses in the thing here, I'd imagine. No, here they go. Pow! Man, I don't know about that. I think whoever did the steward's box they misinterpreted the photo. That sure looks like Rocchini got the edge on over Xanthi to me. Then I want to look farther across the line to you.
Yes, it does significantly. Yeah. And the one on the bottom even looks farther.
Well, maybe a little bit cross-eyed, but what can you say? All right.
It's the angle. It's the angle. You know?
Yeah, it's the inside, the outside horse always looks like it has the edge, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to race number 5. That's the one we're going to do. Race number 5 is
we did the 4th race. I mean,
yeah, that's the best we can do there.
But they're all the majority of the field has never run. But the important thing on that one, though, is, of course, for Royal Ascot.
Yes,
because
those youngsters.
You know darn well somebody could easily show, the winner could easily show up in one of those races.
Sandra Seed, Mustalab, won well last time out in a good time. Potential big improver this year. Good luck, guys. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for joining us. And for the tip, of course, if there's anything you like at anywhere on the planet, because Tom and I, we travel from Hong Kong to Australia to England to France to just about anywhere that they'll run horses for money, even in the Saudi Arabia where they run, but you can't bet on them over there, but you can bet on them over here. I'm not quite sure what the point is, I guess, other than entertainment. But in any case, Tom, we'll be entertained at 1 mile and 2 furlongs. So 1.25 miles for the Carey Group Handicap. Class 3. This is for 3-year-olds who can run up to the 88 level. At 1 mile and 2 furlongs, they're going to start here. They're going to go downhill, level out, steadily rise. They're going to rise some more, and then they're going to run downhill to the finish flag there and find their way to the winner's enclosure. Tom, that turn comes a whole lot quicker than it does at 1.5 miles. Do you feel like getting one of these positions inside here is advantageous?
Well, I think you'd want that, but this race seems to have some pace. So if you're more of a horse that likes cover, if you can get in and with some cover, I think you'll get the trip you're looking for. Just clear running at the end is the key.
Well, that's always the key, right? You got to have a path to the finish line. So who do you think is going to get the best trip in the Carey Group Handicap?
I'm going to start with number 2, Global Skies, with draw 6. Seasonal debut ran 3rd on the soft going at Beverly, and that was at 7 furlongs. It was it was an eventful race, to say the least. He had to be steady to the start. He switched over to the right, and I think he could have done better. He's done well at the lower level races. So this is a little more of a challenge, but he likes the distance, and I think he'll continue to improve. And why not?
Mm-hmm.
Decent odds. Give it a shot. 4, Mid-Air is the next choice. That is draw 3. Comes into this race with a win and a loss by a neck in its seasonal debut at Epsom. This horse is always trying. In the last 3 races, he's lost by a length, a neck, and a head. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. He's still a maiden, though. But he is a son of Frankel, and Frankel has produced a few good runners. And I think he may break his maiden today, but I also think he can run the money nicely. And my final horse is going to be number 5, Sindor Tine, I guess. I don't know. Draw 7, I'm sorry. He's run twice, both on the all-weather. And so the first race was in January, and it was it was a good effort. And he won by a head going 9 furlongs. So he returns the races in April, same distance. He had some issues at the start. He does have issues at the start. And he ran 4th. I think the switch to the turf is key because he's bred for the turf. And he's to really like the turf. And I think the distance is right. And I think 1.25 miles will suit him just very nicely. And that's why I'm going to throw him in there because I think he'll do okay.
And somehow, even though it's an 8-horse field, I only have 3 horses. So I have picks of integrity in the 5th race.
Sean must be
those those fences that they have for dogs where they have like the collar on, and when they get to a certain point, it buzzes them, like in the movie Total Recall. Sean has one of those. Like if I get too many picks, he starts to buzz me. And I do like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm going to start with a horse, Thomas, that you mentioned. One of the things that you're looking for is a little bit more distance out of Sindorina or Nino. I'm going to kind of go the same route. I'm going to go with the 2-horse, a little bit of a long shot and get another one here that's kind of running against the morning line odds. The bettors are walking away from this one. But Global Skies, the longer the race has gone, it seems like the better the horse has performed. So today he's going to get a lot more distance than he's had before. And so when you're looking at a handicap and you're trying to figure out, what kind of edge a horse can have, or where the room from improvement's going to come from, and I feel like going that distance today, much longer than it's done in the past, could be an edge. Number 6, Midnight Storm is the third selection for me. 3 seconds in a row for this guy. I think this one will be forwardly placed in this race. And if you read through the notes for a lot of the other horses in here, a lot of the other ones seem to dwell at the start, get off to a slow start. So this one could get a jump on the rest of the field and do so perhaps without really needing to work that hard to be middle forward. Then finally, Midair, we both agree on that one. That one looks like it's the favorite with William Buick in the saddle. We know for sure, as I mentioned, the 2-horse going this long for the first time. So the distance is a question for that one. It's not a question for Midair at all. And as you talked about, Thomas, this horse really is not that far away from winning its last 3 races. So clearly a horse that likes to perform well. And let's see if it performs well on a computer screen as well. And off they go. Well, we got a decisive winner. And it's not Midair. How about that? It is Sindorino. That's the one Thomas picked. Too bossy for us. It's a distant second. And then everybody else just kind of trying to keep up at the end. So maybe Thomas gets the Sindorino. And that's about it in the 8-horse field. Maybe I should have put a 4th pick in there. Might have been better served, right?
That'll teach you.
Yes, whenever you try to do something different, no good attempt to be honorable goes unpunished. All right, the last race that you and I are going to do, well, what the hell? We did it before we move on to race number 7. Let's do the predictor for race number 6. We might as well and see what happens there. Another decisive winner in Sierra Pearl. I don't know if you have that one at all, Tom. I didn't handicap that race, so I'll claim it as my top.
I have it for second.
All right. And we'll, of course, shortly after the show is over, but sometime before we go to sleep this evening here in the States, we'll take all Tom's notes, my notes, along with links to what you see here on the screen at Racing Post. We'll put them all over at horseracingtoday.net. It's kind of like the mothership, along with all of our social sites. Everything except the YouTube channel you can find at the handle of Horse Race, the number 2 day, Horse Race Today, on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything else that we post our social media stuff to. I don't know, we're about 50,000 strong and growing. So if you haven't done so, please join the community on your favorite place to communicate via social messaging. We'd appreciate the support. Last race of the day for me, Thomas. You still have a couple bonus picks in France. The last one at Ascot today is going to be race number 7. This one is another 0%er for the Blue Ribbon Handicap. What do I keep saying? So I'm trying to read. I'm looking at class while I'm reading Handicap, and the C&L are coming together for me. So Handicap class 4, 6 furlongs. They will just be sprinting right down the fairway here once again, Thomas, trying to make their way to the green and then off to the winner's enclosure in this short 6 sprint. This is a real deep field too. Is it like 30 horses in this one? Something like that?
Yeah, there are a couple horses.
So you expect this one to branch off into different packs as well?
I would be very surprised if it didn't. I can't imagine seeing them all bunched up in one group.
That would be fun. Like a 30 horse. Can you imagine like a 30 horse quarter horse race? That I think I would pay for that.
It'd be interesting. The gate would be interesting by itself.
Yeah, just to start. I mean, it only has to be 100 yards. Whoever wins the first 100 yards would get. I bet you there would be more horses bumping each other than I couldn't even, I'd have to make some comparison to it. All right. So at 6 furlongs, Tom, for your last picks at Ascot, before you tell us what you think about French racing, who do you got here in the closer for the Ascot?
All right, we'll start with number 7, Brave Nation, with draw 25. His first run of the season was at Ascot at 5 furlongs. He ran on for third, but he did have some issues early in the race. He finished the season in a Class 2 race at Ascot, and he ran fourth in that race. Okay, he's run but 10 times. He only won once, so why pick him? Well, I think he ran okay last time out, and I think he may surprise people here. And not a big price, but interesting.
Well, 5-1 in a 30-horse field, I think, is kind of favorite status. But
that's in the favorite status, yeah. But he's only won once in his life, so.
Well, I have a question for you. I made it my top pick too, so I'm a little foreshadowing. So I'll forego my top pick, but to me, and I don't know if this, was part of your thinking as well, but William Buick, one of the top jockeys over there, right? And this is the first time he's on the horse, coming off of a decent effort. Do you feel like that's a tell from the ownership group and the training group that, hey, we feel like this one's ready to go, so we better go out and make sure we give it the best chance to win, and that's why William Buick's on it for the first time?
I think that's definitely, you have to consider that when you got the top jockey in England last year, and he had a good meet at Chester this week. He's just continuing to roll along, and he makes good judgment, and you have to in this big field.
Yeah, so in poker they call that a tell, and I feel like the connections, putting William Buick on there, is a tell that they are expecting a big performance out of this horse. So I gave away my first pick. Tom, go ahead and give away your second pick.
I will. Number 23, Habuba, with draw 16. Been running on the all-weather for most of its career. It has a win from 12 starts, but it's finished in the money 6 times. It'll be interesting. It's been running well. First start on the turf. Interesting breeding. It's by Nyquist, who has tossed some nice turf horses, and he did by the fact win the Kentucky Derby. And they've liked the thing, and I like the turf, and I'm going to take it at a price a bit, and based on its all-weather form. If it can reproduce anything close to that and get some luck, it should be right there at the end. Finally, I'm going to take number 18, Al Ken's, with draw number 24. And return to the races with a third at Windsor. It's going 6 furlongs. And it is a front runner, so it does need to get out of the gate smoothly, and it has. And it made most of the running in that Windsor race and then backed up a little. It likes this going, which will help. The far side, we'll see. But he is going to be on the front, and he's certainly going to be leading the group that'll be over on that side of the track. So I had to put him in my money, because I think he'll be there at the end.
All right. So surprisingly, in 4 picks for me and 3 for you, we have 2 horses that we kind of are on the same wavelength with. My first pick here in this race is number 7, as I mentioned, Brave Nation. We talked about why I think that's the case with the tell, moving William Buick into the mount. That just tells me that the group thinks that this one's ready to run and wants to make sure in this deep field, the horse is well positioned and given every opportunity to run to expectations. Number 1, Bucka Bay is my second choice in here. Last time out, this horse actually has a trip so far in 2024 and just missed by a neck. And I think you're going to see a better effort according to its CV in round number 2 off the bench. And surprisingly, in this 30-horse field, we agree on 2 horses, and one of them is Habuba. There's a Beavis and Butthead joke in there somewhere, I am sure. But to me, I saw the same thing you did, Tom. The horses run really well on the all-weather track. And a lot of times how a horse runs on an all-weather track can translate to how a horse runs on a turf course. I think especially when that turf course is good to firm, that's what you're going to get most likely tomorrow. So if it can make the switch, maybe the horse is a turf horse, and you won't get 14-1 or 10-1 the next time around. And then, you know what? I think we have the same horses. So 30 horses, we agree on all 3 of them. How the hell did that happen?
That never happens. Usually we got 3 and 4 or 4 and 4, and they're completely different and all over the place.
Yeah, but Alzacan, that's one of your picks too. So all 3 that you like, I got in there. So this one's won 3 of 7 at the distance. So 6 furlongs preferred distance or length for this guy. Has a second at Ascot. So earlier, Race Masters mentioned, what are you looking for at a quirky, tricky track? Well, some experience that's gone well at that track, and another horse with a race under its belt for the year, and a good chance to see it step up its game in round 2 off the bench. So interestingly, we agree on 2 horses out of the zillions that are in this race. It'll be interesting to see 23 and 25 are referring to the 24. Habuba, Northcliffe. I think we're both on a Habuba. That's the one we both like in there. Let's talk about the predictor. So with all these horses, it'd be hilarious if the first 3 were the ones that you and I agreed on. They probably won't show up on the screen at all. Boom. Well, pow. Fantasy Master. I don't think either one of us. Temple Brewer. I don't remember that. Alzacan. There's one we agree on. Burraback, Northcliffe, and Buckabay. How about that? Buckabay making the picks at 9-1. Well, you're looking at this. 9-1 is the shortest price of the group that the algorithm picked. So if you can get this race correct, I know it's a tough nut to crack, Race Masters, but if you do crack this nut, what comes out is going to be a hell of a trifecta or exacta or swinger or omni or whatever else you can bet there. As I mentioned, we do get some bonus racing from Thomas. So we're going to start with Longchamp tomorrow for the race it's going to go off at 2:50, right? That's the one we're going to go off with first.
2:50, that'll be the local time. 8:50 a.m. I think is the right. I think it's 6 hours difference if I remember correctly.
So it's the Emirates Poulet d'Oise de Pouliches.
You did good.
Yeah. Yes, me and Steve Martin, our French accents are spot on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Thomas, what do you got?
And in this race, these are the one, as we said at the beginning of the show, these are classic races. And this is the Fillies version for 3-year-olds. And I'm going to start out with number 15, Louis Proctor. She's undefeated. And she's they'll be running this distance for the first time. She won her last race on the all-weather at Chantilly by 3 lengths. Yeah, she's going to step up, but this is a trainer that's very good at getting horses ready for these types of races. And I think she's ready to step forward. Number 8 is Romantic Style. Will be our next choice. After its first nothing race at Newbury in its first start. Won 3 in a row, that's from 6 to 7 furlongs. One of them was a race at Deauville, and it was in a group 3. This is Charlie Appleby. He generally knows how to train horses, as we've talked about before.
Sometimes.
And I think the distance is right based on the breeding, and he knows how to place horses. The final choice is going to be number 2, Ves Peretal. And this horse is coming over from Ireland, has only 1 win, but she's raced second to very talented 2-year-old and Fallen Angel, and that was in a group 1 at the Curragh. I think it's a really interesting place for a first start for this horse. So they must have either very high hopes or have seen something in the training to spend the money to go ship it into for this race, for the French Guineas, for the filly version of it. And so I'm going to put it in because it's an interesting pick.
It's just the Panic at the Disco horse. High.
Yeah. Well, there's no predictor for this one unless you want.
Oh, I mean, there is one. We can click on it, but ain't nothing going to happen, right?
Nothing going to happen.
It's just going to be blank, kind of like my picks. So there it should say no predictor and no rich for this race. I think that would be appropriate. The next up, without the aid of a predictor, will be the 3:30 local time race. And this is another one of those on the grand course, but last one was for the ladies. This one's for the young boys, the 3-year-old colts. Tom, at the 1 mile, what's going to go on here?
I'm going to pick one I think will be the favorite, which is Ramadan. It's number 5. He's won his last 2 races. One was a listed, the other one was a Group 3. Was the favorite. He was on very soft, which is what they're expecting again in Paris tomorrow. And he's undefeated at this distance, and he should put in another strong effort. Number 6 is Metropolitan, which I'll pick for second. Returned to the races and lost to my top choice, but I think he just ran around the track because it was a pretty dull effort. So definitely short on fitness because he's run okay. He won his first 2 starts at this distance, and I think he'll improve off the last effort being a good
way to put it. It's descriptive.
And finally, I'm going to take number 10, Henry Longfellow, which is an Aidan O'Brien horse coming in obviously from Ireland, also undefeated. This will be interesting because after all the hype on City of Troy and what it did in the 2000 Guineas, which was absolutely nothing, this next super horse. Well, this one is the second stringer. And yeah, is he going to be a good effort or a big flop? Well, he's won by 5 lengths on the good to yielding at the Curragh. So, of course, I don't think it's going to be an issue for him. So I'm going to put him in. I'm assuming Ryan Moore will make the trip over, and he certainly knows how to ride races.
It's not that big of a trip, I don't think. So looking back in the previous race, the 250 start, Sandra points out that Flagora, what number is that one? Number 13. That one beat last week's Guineas winner last time out. So that looks like from horse, but a mile is the question mark, although they tend to go slow in France. Thank you, Sandra, for the input there again. We appreciate it. If like Sandra, you have some
greatly appreciate it.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, if you got some insights, it's a community here, right? In fact, if you'd like to join us on our Foreign Friday show, Sandra, we greatly would appreciate that too. You could hit me up at HRT Rich on Twitter, or you can send me an email, GTSRichB. We'd certainly love another voice in our Foreign Fridays. Tom's going to come over to the domestic side. Terry's on vacation next week. So Tom on Monday, Tuesday will join me at for Parks right outside of Philadelphia. Just an upgrade in racing for Tom from our group races and all these stellar horses over in England.
Yeah, $5,000 claimers.
Yes, but the payouts are nice, Thomas.
Right? Yes, well, there's something at 31 horse field. There usually can be some good payouts too.
Well, there are only 6, 7, 8 horse fields over at Park. Sometimes up to 11 or 12.
Yeah, they sometimes fill the fields.
You got to give Pennsylvania racing a big thumbs up because a lot of states have it. I mean, California, right, having a really difficult time getting fields past 6 or 7 horses. And in Pennsylvania, you don't think of it as a horse racing state, but at Parks, they got full fields. Penn National, they have decent fields too.
I think of Pennsylvania because their breeding program is very good.
Yeah, outstanding.
And if nothing else, you can fill in your race cards with Pennsylvania bred racing, and I think that's a big part of any state that has a racing program and a number of tracks like Pennsylvania does, because I got Presque Isle and for the all weather, and then Penn National. I think that it's the key to doing a good race card is having a good state bred program.
I wholeheartedly agree, and then they back it up to boot. So that's a big.
And they pay nice. I mean, it's decent money.
Yeah, no, some good. I was talking to a gentleman who claims some horses. If you're interested in being part of an ownership group that claims, like my racehorse, but you get a bigger percentage of the horse for a much lower cost. One time, you can email me too at GTSRichB at Monmouth. They'll be claiming some horses, probably in that $20,000 range and down. So the investment will be small, but the fun will be big. So again, let me know about that. But I think one of the nice things is you could take horses. You can, because of those bigger purses, you can claim horses for like $10,000 at New York or 20,000 and bring it to like a $40,000 race down in Parks, and it fits. In any case, so Tom and I'll do Parks Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's up in the air a little bit because Pimlico obviously has the Preakness on Saturday. I have a huge report to do
we're doing York. I mean, York starts on Wednesday.
On Wednesday? Well,
Wednesday,
maybe Tom
Thursday,
will do
and Friday.
Well, we'll do something on Thursday for sure. Probably Pimlico. We'll preview Friday and Saturday racing with some picks at Pimlico so we can see how hot or not we are for the Black Eyed Susan and the Preakness on Friday and Saturday. And then any sense of what we'll do next Friday, Thomas?
Well, we'll either do Newberry or Newmarket.
All right. So no matter what it'll be, it'll start with New. So make sure you tune in for that, and then make sure that you don't miss anything. Follow us again on all of our social sites. You see them streaming down there below at Horse Race, the number 2 day. While you're on YouTube, kindly hit the subscribe button. Only 1 out of 10 people do. We're about 4,900 people away from getting to 10,000. We'd love to get there in 2024 with your help. So if you can share our content along your social sites and your friends, hell, throw open the window, grab a megaphone next Friday and let them know Tom and Rich are on. Have to head over to the channel. All right, Thomas, till we see you on Monday, any words of wisdom to part with on this Foreign Friday?
Well, good racing this weekend. There's also some other group races at Perry Longchamp. The same Marks the Basilica Group 2 races. It looks like an interesting race on Sunday. So if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend tuning in. But we'll see.
Indeed. So no matter what you're doing for the rest of this weekend, whether you're in France, you're in England, like Thomas, you're deep down in the bowels of the basement preparing for those Parks cards on Monday and Tuesday. We certainly hope that you have God's grace, God's favor. Every single thing in England ends up in the
winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Monday. Make it a great weekend.